Welcome into Titans Today. I am Tom Downey. An update on our June like battle. We are narrowly behind Texans today. It's a stretch goal to catch them with a few days left in the month. Let's do our damnedest to not finish last in the AFC South. I guess there's only two channels for Schatz, but still, we can't finish last. Like the video. Help us win our like battle this month. Couple different ESPN reports I want to lead off today's show with. First up is, once again, the idea of trading Treylon Burks, with Aaron Schatz over at ESPN taking a pretty hard stance that I'm not sure I fully agree with, by the way. But he had, for an ESPN Insider piece, one move every team should make. His was trading away Burks. Here's the argument. It's clear that Burks has worn out his welcome in Tennessee after 2 disappointing seasons. The former first-round pick had just 16 catches for 221 yards last season with no touchdowns, and coaches are talking about Burks needing to play special teams to solidify his roster spot. He's probably 5th on the depth chart at this point, so it would behoove the Titans to send him to another team, get him a fresh start, and bring some draft capital to use in 2025. I don't 100% agree with everything there. I don't disagree with it all necessarily either. I don't know if it's fully accurate, though. Now, look, the statistical stuff, yes. And I don't think there's anybody here in a world where we can, if we're lucky, get to 70% consensus on even, a very obvious things. I don't think there's anyone who says, yeah, Burks has actually been great. I don't think anyone actually believes that. Family, everything. I don't think anyone is on board with the way Burks has played in Tennessee. He has been a disappointment. Not just as, well, that's our new wide receiver one. Sorry, A.J. Brown. But even like, hey, first-round pick, progress, upside, promise. It is a generally down buzz on Burks, which is accurate. Now, I would not put him at 5th on the wide receiver depth chart. I get what Nick Westbrook has done over the course of his NFL career. I get that there's value in having him on the roster. We can't say, oh, yeah, 16 for 221 and be like, it's not like NWI is that much better from a statistical standpoint. Yeah, he did better, quote unquote, than Burks, but who here thinks you'd rather have that next 3 years if you had to play him at receiver, NWI or Burks? I'm still picking Burks over him. Now, maybe he met Quan Jackson as a special teamer. Maybe that's a path you can pursue there, but I'm not arguing that Burks is 5 on the depth chart. I'd put him at 4. But the 4th guy still has to help on special teams. That part is true. So more on this to come. But would you trade Treylon Burks for whatever you could get? Y for yes, N for no. It is the pinned comment on today's show. So if that ad comes on YouTube, cool. Ignore it. Head down there and go vote. I think it is clear the Titans are not committed to Treylon Burks being a huge part of their team short-term, long-term. Their offseason moves reflect that. If you were convinced Burks is about to take a jump to wide receiver 1 and you were confident in that, you would not have signed Tyler Boyd and thrown gobs of money at Calvin Ridley. I also don't think they are fully out on him either. I don't think it's like, yeah, we're done. We don't want him. We'll take whatever we can get. I think in many ways, it's a fresh slate for Burks. It's a new coaching staff on offense. It's a new regime to a certain extent overall. So this is a very big preseason coming up for Burks. He has to show good stuff in training camp. He'll play in the preseason. It'd be kind of weird if he didn't. He does run the risk of falling out of favor. That is true. I don't think we'd be that surprised, whether we would want to or not to, if the Titans slip Burks in the preseason for a future draft pick. I also think if he plays well, that's a good thing. And maybe you have hope for him and he can stick around on your roster short-term and long-term. Now, one player the Titans are committed to is J.C. Latham. As we've broken down previously, a lot of good buzz around him, the first-round pick out of Tennessee for the off-season workout phase for the Titans. If you want his rookie jersey, get yours today over at chatsports.com/Latham. That link will be in the comments section and the description of today's show. chatsports.com/Latham. There is once again some hype for rookie undrafted free agent Gabe Judy-Lally. ESPN, again, insider piece, kind of went over their surprise spring standouts. Not actually what it was titled, but that flows pretty well. And It's a bit better than player who impressed in the offseason. That was a surprise, but they kind of worded it very strangely. Here's what Teron Davenport of ESPN wrote. Judy-Lally took full advantage of available reps due to veterans Chidobe Awuzie and L'Jarius Sneed having limited participation during OTAs and minicamp. Judy-Lally said his length and comfort in press coverage gave him confidence to play in defensive coordinator Denard Wilson's aggressive scheme. Here's what GJL said about that. If I get up there and give myself the opportunity to win by getting my hands on guys and being in good position, it allows me to use my length to play to my ability, and everything falls into play from there. Davenport continued, his confidence showed immediately when he got a good jam on Treylon Burks and OTAs. Judy-Lally also held his own when lining up against DeAndre Hopkins on a few reps. In general, you're looking for consistent buzz. Hey, we heard that a couple times, multiple times throughout OTA's minicamp, having the exact same thing come through training camp, not just like one off. Oh, yeah, he had a good day, and then you never mentioned him again. So will he make the roster? Possibility of it. 1 for yes, 0 for no. I think you've got, in reality, 5 roster locks, which is a lot for one position. But it's L'Jarius Sneed, obviously. Chidobe Awuzie, obviously. Roger McCreary, clearly. Caleb Farley, unless they trade him, you don't save anything by cutting him, so I think he's on this team. And they drafted Jarvis Brownlee. Again, barring injury, I think those guys are on the roster. The other spots are all wide open. Trey Avery's carved out a decent back end of the roster role for a couple years in a row now. The biggest thing, you can be the 5th best pure corner on the roster, or even the 4th best pure corner, and not make the team if the guys ahead of you are healthy, because you have to contribute on special teams. There's not much of a role for a and you get maybe 1 or 2, if that, and it normally goes to draft picks and not UDFAs because of the investment involved there. You get maybe 1 or 2 guys that are going to be on your 53-man roster, but aren't on your 48, or 49, depending on how the call-ups work, because you just don't help on special teams. So if he wants to make the roster, look, step 1, be great on defense. Step 2, which is a little tough to see at camp, and maybe we'll get some views in the preseason, how he fares on special teams in the game situations. If he can make an impact on teams, he can absolutely make the roster. And then see how he grows as a corner. We'll have more Titans videos for you here on corners, including another update on that front in a minute here. So if you haven't already, hit that sub button. YouTube today, or youtube.com/Titans today. More free Titans videos, all off-season, preseason, regular season, long, and more. I like Roger McCreary. I want to emphasize that off the front here, because Bleacher Report listed McCreary as Titans' most important contract extension before the season. I am a big fan of his game. So when I get a little negative here, do keep that in mind. I liked him a lot coming out of Auburn. I think Tennessee is glad they made that selection, given all the change they've had in the cornerback room the past 2 years, basically. Yes, his completion percentage is high. Don't read too much into that. He's a nickel corner. Nickel corner completion rates are higher because, as it turns out, a lot of slot routes are run short. And as it turns out, it's a lot easier to pick up a gain of 5 than a gain of 25 through the air. Kind of funny. So I like McCreary a lot. I am a believer in his game. I want him in Tennessee long term. But there's one fairly tiny, emphasis there, of course being sarcastic, issue involved here. Roger McCreary isn't eligible for a contract extension. You have to wait until after the 3rd season. So when your headline is most important contract extensions ahead of the 2024 campaign, and you pick someone who you literally can't pay right now, that's an L. That's not how it works, Bleacher Report. There's only one thing to do. Got to type L in the comment section. We all make mistakes. When I make mistakes, I expect you guys to type L's in the comments. Got to do it here for Bleacher Report. Type your L's for me right now. Now, I got better extension candidates on here. It's not a very good group. Better is relative. A 1 is larger than a 0. It's not going to beat much else out there. DeAndre Hopkins, I think, probably would have been your best bet there. But, that 2020 draft class, not very good. That 2021 class was not very good. So you're not really having a bunch of young guys you want to pay. Your big names, Jeffrey Simmons, or Harold Landry, those guys are under contract right now. You've paid a bunch of other guys this past year. Elijah Molden, Amani Hooker, those guys are eligible. Are we falling over ourselves to sign them? No, not really. So Hopkins, I think, is the main one, but I literally can't pay McCreary yet. I want to pay him next offseason or the year after that, but I can't pay him right now.